Good evening and welcome to On the Table. I'm Dorothy, and I'm here with a wonderful group of Christian women to discuss the issues of the day. Much like we did in the old days around the kitchen table when the kids were in school. The call-in number is 646-595-4784 if you want to call in with a question or a prayer request. Press 1 to raise your hand in the queue. Our contact email is onthetablebc@hotmail.com. Now, we may not all agree all of the time, but isn't that half fun? Different perspectives coming from different experiences and learning from each other. Pull up a chair and join us on this most excellent adventure in the reality of Christianity. Let's see what's on the table tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's program. It's entitled Attacks on the Family. I'm Ronnie, and we have Pam and Dorothy here with us this evening. Say hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi. Ronnie, do you have a speaker on the computer? I'm getting echo. I don't know if anyone else is getting echo.
Are you getting it now?
Yeah. Pam, are you getting echo?
No. I've got to have my speaker on because I haven't got my headphones.
Okay.
Is that what's causing it?
I hope not.
I heard it in the beginning, but I'm not hearing it now.
Yeah, I have this set up every week, so I don't think there's been any bother before.
Yeah, I don't know. I have the same setup, too.
It seems to be good, but... Yeah,
okay, why don't you start? I'm going to go get Tony.
It's not there anymore.
Oh, good. Okay.
So...
Okay, good. Great. Well, would you like to start us out in prayer, Pam?
Yes, I will.
Wonderful.
We just thank you, Heavenly Father, for this time that we can come together. We invite you, Holy Spirit, into this conversation tonight, and we ask that you'll guide us and bring in the right people, and that, Father, you'll guide us in how we discuss these matters, that you'll open our eyes, you'll open our heart and our understanding, Lord, to understand that we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, and wicked spirits in high places that attack the very heart, your very heart, Lord, when you created families. And we give you thanks, Lord, for the opportunity to speak in your name, in the name of Jesus. Amen.
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 All right.
Well,
why don't you start off on how there are so many attacks on the family right now in different ways. I know all of us have had dealings with the social services for children. They're called different things in different countries and different states, but it seems like when they're good, they're very, very good, but when they're bad, they're horrible. So if one of you want to start addressing that, or...
Well, I don't don't know that I agree with that, Dorothy. I think that you can run into different workers that might be very, very good, but I think as a whole, the Department of Children's Services, I just don't think it's run very well at all. I have had dealings with children's services. I was what they call I was a caretaker for my grandson. My one of my daughters, my oldest daughter, got involved in drugs, and he was very young, and he was taken out of the home and placed with me. And so I've had a lot of dealings with DCFS, and I had my grandson for years. So I saw some good and I saw some bad out of the organization. And in the end, when I walked away from the whole experience, I really believe to this day that they need to tear it all down and rebuild the organization from the ground up. Because to be honest with you, what I saw was a money-making business. They get so much money, and they take kids away for sometimes in instances. I know that they do some people good, but sometimes I don't think children needed to have been taken away that were taken away. I think that there maybe could have been leave the children there because they weren't in harm and perhaps pursue a different avenue with the parents. But it is what it is. I know that a lot of children end up missing out of children's services. I know a lot of children end up getting hurt or killed that are in children's social services with foster parents that are supposed to be good parents, and they were taken out of the family's home and put into something even worse. So I just believe even a few tragedies a year would be enough to, to go back and to find ways of doing things better in the organization, but they don't. They just continue on in the same manner. And that's, they seem incompetent at times. And then other times when I because I was so involved in it, you have to take a lot of classes and you have to get to meet other foster parents and things like that in these classes. And sometimes I would see foster parents that truly I just did not, I just don't know. I've seen workers that left children in horrendous situations when they should have been removed. So I've seen it go both ways.
Right. Sometimes sometimes they get it right, and it seems like most of the time they get it wrong.
Well, I was involved with a woman once that her son was taken. This wasn't my daughter, but her son was taken away from her because of not the lady I knew, but the parent of the child. The mother was involved in drug use, so they gave it to the father, but the father was an alcoholic. But they let the father have the child, and he would abuse the child, and the child ended up running down the middle of a highway one night to get away from this man. And when the mother called and complained about it, evidently the worker didn't care. And they just continued to let this child stay with this man. So there's no rhyme or reason. It just depends on the worker that you get.
Yeah, I think they definitely need more training. my sister-in-law also worked social services, but she didn't work for the state out in California. She worked for a consulting firm that did work with the state.
Dorothy.
Hi, Roz. Welcome to the
Dorothy.
show.
Hi, Roz.
Hi, you can talk.
I could talk today, yes. Yesterday there was no talking. There was squeaking.
I was going through Dorothy withdrawal. I wasn't able to talk to you for a while because you were feeling not so well.
Yeah, the breathing has been an issue.
Who else do we have with us?
Ronnie and Pam.
Oh, Pam's there. Hi, Ronnie and Pam.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry. I couldn't wait to. Sorry, Dorothy. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just could not wait to hear your voice because I was texting you yesterday, and and you told me you weren't feeling well. And I was like, oh, come on. You know how I get.
Yes. I'm going to have to make you a recording or something on a day I can breathe.
I'm telling you, that was terrible. Praying for you right away. I was like, Father, do something. I need my Dorothy. Okay, I'm done.
And Ronnie's in charge of the studio tonight because she's going to take over if one of these days this not breathing hits on a show night. So, right, Ronnie?
Yes, that's right. I'm going to try.
Okay, so social services. I don't know, because I've had both good experience and bad with the same agencies,
Mm-hmm.
With Connecticut, they did very well on my youngest grandchildren. Of course, I did the, grandmother's rights thing, and I sat at the table and I ran my mouth, because this is okay, this is not okay. And we actually got it so that in order for them to, because sometimes they like to just move the kids around in a foster situation, but, Harold and I had to place the kids in the home we wanted, and she had to go through all the hoops to become a real foster. So we made it so that they had to actually come to court to remove them if there was going to be a removal. There wasn't. And then on the other hand, in the extended family, we had children taken from the mother and father because they were both drug addicts, and they were placed with the alcoholic grandparents. So
yes, that's what I'm talking about. It does not make sense, does it?
It doesn't make any sense to me, but I don't know how we can fix that other than those of us who still can become part of the solution and become foster parents and step in for these kids who need, it's hard to be a foster parent. I give kudos to whoever can do it. Because you're talking about emotionally damaged children who act out. And to deal with that is very difficult, and to reach out and make them feel loved. But other than that, I don't know what to do about the bureaucracy. It seems to me every time you try to get government to do something, it turns into a bureaucracy, and then it makes a mess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There's a lot of political influence, I think, with foster systems. And I think that's where the big problem is, but we know why that is. But I think it's too deep a subject to go into on this particular show.
You mean the spiritual enemy behind it?
Well, we can go that far. Yeah, we can go that far. But I mean, how it shows, because I think it's the same globally, really, because it's the same here. Me and Paul went to do fostering, And we went to meetings, and after a while, I mean, your hands are tied before you can even get through meetings. You know, they tell you what you can and can't do. And you can't go by a set of rules per child. You have to deal with the situation on an individual level. And I thought they were too restrictive. You know, you can't say this and you can't do that, and you've got to do this. And I said, Paul, this is not fostering. I said, this is them controlling. And so I backed off, and I said, well, I want to foster kids. I've always wanted to. And I've looked after kids all my life and never had any problems with them. They've never wanted to go home. They've always wanted to stay, you know, and they couldn't wait to come back another time. But this fostering, it's too politically motivated. It's got a stranglehold. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of good people that work in fostering business. It is. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
on many levels.
It is. In
and if
United
anybody
States,
tries to rock the boat, they're moved.
I'm sorry, I missed what you just said.
Say if anybody tries to do something and they rock the boat, they end up being moved. Suddenly you can't get hold of them.
Right.
We found that out several times. When they've tried to help, to do what's right, suddenly they're not available. They've gone on a course, or, you know, they're with another case, and you know it's a cover-up. You know it for certain. But I mean, the reason for fostering was to help children that were in risky situations, in bad situations. Mm-hmm. But it's been taken over by the ruthless, basically. But we know that one of the greatest thing on God's heart is great love, is families, and He created families, and He loves families. And it's the devil's way of getting straight to God's heart by destroying families. And I think the
start from the first family, from Adam and Eve. He went in.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning.
And what happened? He got brother against brother straight away.
Yeah.
So straight into the family.
But what is the alternative for these broken families that are already broken? I mean, these drug addicts, my goodness, you read his stories where they've got the kids in the car and they just shoot up and, you know, what is the alternative?
You have to take a child out of that environment. I'm not trying to say that by any means. No child deserves to live like that.
If the government doesn't do it, not that they're doing it very well, because they're also under a mandate here from the courts to work very hard towards restoring the family. So they bend over backwards to restore the family.
That's what they say. But you know, when Bill Clinton was in office, he put a law in for where I don't know what the name of this law is. I think it's the adoption and the safe family is what I wrote down here. But he put a law into effect where social services gets a kickback from every child that gets adopted out. So
for every child they have,
so every child they adopt out, they get $4,000. And if it's a special needs child, they get $2,000 more on top of that. So there is an incentive there.
Well, I think that's going to help with their care too. Because I know the person who has my grandchildren gets a monthly fee, even though she's going through the adoption process now and adopted it. They still give her money.
Yeah, they do. Like, it's like they gave me a monthly check. I think it was close to $500.
And there are, I mean, I know we've all read the stories about people who just do foster care to get the money, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
She gets more per head than I get in disability. So I can see where there would be temptation. But
well, this isn't the families that get the money. This is the social services. The organization gets the money.
But
it's
what
not
does
the families
social
get $4,000.
do with the money? What do they do with the money?
I don't know.
They have to get money from somewhere to give to the fosters.
Well, that comes out of the federal government. That was a check written to me by the government. So, and I don't have any problems with people getting money for the children that they're fostering. I don't have that. I don't. But I'd like to know that someone is actually looking out for the kids and they're not faced with alcoholics. And we know alcoholism does just as much damage as a drug addict. It's just a different drug. So
yes, I agree with that.
I have problems when they're told this is what happened and the child's saying, my father gets drunk and he was beating me, so I ran down the highway at 12 o'clock at night. And he's 7 years old, Dorothy. I have a problem with the worker that thinks it's okay to leave the child there. And I was friends with the woman that called and complained, and she had to go up to the supervisor, and then the supervisor didn't do anything, so she went above her, and it just continued right up the line until she's calling corporate down in L.A. And, nobody ever did a thing. Nobody ever did a thing. There's something wrong there. That's why I said I think that they really need a restructuring.
Mm-hmm.
Satan's probably behind it too.
So they definitely need better discernment. That's for sure.
Yeah, or more schooling, or something. Just common sense would tell you not to leave a child in that situation. They're there to help the kids. That's what they're supposed to be there for. So,
and see, I still think at least they're trying to do something.
Wow.
So what do you think we can do as individuals to help the situation?
Gosh, we kind of have our hands tied by them, don't we? So I think our fight will be in the spiritual realm by prayer. I think if we see a child being neglected or beaten, that we need to do whatever's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean a beating. I don't mean a spanking, because sometimes people get carried away now. That's what I was going to talk about, the Patriot Act. After 9/11, we had the Patriot Act come in, and there was a woman. Remember that woman? Do you remember this story, anybody, of the woman that was on the flight, and she was having a bad day, and she had a couple of her kids with her, and they knocked her drink. I think she was drinking a Bloody Mary, and they knocked it into her lap because they were jumping around on the plane. And she got mad, and she whacked them each 3 times on the thigh and told them to sit down. And the story went, she ended up getting arrested under the Patriot Act and having her children taken away permanently, Dorothy. So these are the things, these are the horror stories that I hear, and I just wonder, who are the judges presiding over these cases, and who are the workers that are doing this, and why? Why are they doing this?
Well, some of them are just...
Personally, I don't think it's wrong to spank your child.
No. It gets their attention. But you don't beat a child. It's a very fine line. But there are a lot of, even, otherwise, in the system, there are a lot of those liberal, regressive judges who just, their thought process is so skewed that they couldn't make a decent judgment call if they were on fire,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's part of the problem, too. We ended up with a very good judge for the smaller grandchildren. In fact, he's doing another one, for us, and
Well,
he's,
good.
Bending over backwards to make sure the mother has a chance to present her case before just taking her right. And the mother is not a bad person. She's not a drug addict. She's just not able to parent. She doesn't have the wherewithal to parent.
Well, wait a minute. What do you mean she's not a bad person and she's not a drug addict? Why did she have her child taken from her?
Because she doesn't. I don't know what the current politically correct phrasing is for this, but she is not mentally capable or emotionally capable to parent a child. You have to be able to make good decisions. This child needed medical attention and surgery on her eyes, and she took both the foster parents and social services to court so that the child wouldn't have the surgery. I mean, she lost the case. The kid got the surgery because she needed it. But what do you call that, Pam?
That's going to open up a whole can of worms right there.
But she loves the child.
Is that politically correct?
Mentally challenged and emotionally challenged.
Well, then you're going to have to bring in Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't believe in surgeries that have anything to do with blood transfusions. They don't get their kids taken away.
She was not. She got the child taken. This is not her first child being taken away. She's in the system. So when she starts pumping them out, they take them away because she's on the record as not being able. But, it's not that, like I said, it's that child, fortunately, was taken away at birth. So she's not traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
The foster mother's a little traumatized having to go to court and put up with a bunch of nonsense, but the child, it's good,
Yeah.
So,
everyone's so quiet tonight.
Yeah, everyone is quiet tonight. I'm surprised. I thought I'd be the quiet one. I still just want to go to sleep.
The quiet one.
But, so there is good there. Good happens there. The bottom, for the most part, the people who work there, the social workers, they're not there for no good reason. I mean, I got a good perspective on all this from my sister-in-law. And she would, when we would get together, which wasn't very often because she lives near San Francisco, so we didn't, it's the other side of the country. So when we would visit, she would tell me stories. And that woman worked at least 88 million hours a week just trying to keep up with the children in need. I think the problem is so big that it's hard to get anything decent done. But when they do hit the mark, they do it well. Like, I wish my sister-in-law could be the social worker for all the kids. That's not feasible. She's only one person. But she had a heart for it. And that's like the social worker for the little ones, my little ones. She had a heart for it. So, to some people it's just a job, I'm sure.
Some
but to
people
others,
right.
So I think it's just a matter of difference in people. And they do make silly rules. I mean, they made Tammy clean up her basement. Now, it was just a regular basement where you store stuff. Well, they decided they didn't like that. I mean, how stupid is that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they come up with the stupidest things. Maybe it's a test to see if they'll jump through the right hoop fast enough. I don't know.
Yeah, they do. Jump through this hoop, yeah. Yeah, well,
but
I don't know. There's a lot of children that end up in foster care that end up missing. They're missing.
Yeah,
they just
there are.
turn up missing. You hear them on TV all the time. Yeah, so what happens to those children? I know some of those children are teenagers and run away. I understand that. But some of them aren't. Some of them are children. And why aren't the DCFS workers reporting it to the judges or anybody?
Because I think
they're not going out and checking on them.
I think, well, first of all, they're overloaded. And I think that what happens is there are still people, there are people who never grow up. And when you catch a kid that broke the vase in the house and you actually saw him do it and you say, did you break that vase? Oh, no, I didn't do that. And it's a childish reaction to try and cover your misdeeds. So I think that's part of it.
That's not a good excuse, Dorothy.
It's not a good excuse, but it's human nature. It's human nature. You can't.
That's why I said it needs to be restructured. There needs to be accountability, and there needs to be, it just needs to be run better.
And part of the problem is it's so secretive because of privacy laws, and it has to be pretty much, for the children's sake, is that it's hard for anyone on the outside to do anything to fix it because you won't have the information you need to fix it. Right?
I think that people just need...
Go ahead, please.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm kind of probably maybe I'm just not good for this conversation, but I just think that people just need to take responsibility, and I know not everybody's family is all, there, but if you're going to have a child, take responsibility as an adult. Those, and I said this from the very first show. Children are gifts. They're gifts from God.
I agree.
And
they're blessings.
And I understand that when someone has a child and they can't take care of it, they should be responsible, stand up and suck it up, and just put the child up for adoption, or don't try to fight to keep it, because it just isn't going to work. And the only reason why I'm saying that is, number one, I was, for a very short period of time, I was in foster care when I was younger because my mom was abusive. Well, I tried to tell the director that my foster mother was having an affair with someone, but he just would not listen. And it's like, are you saying that just because I'm a 17-year-old girl and I don't know what in the world I'm talking about? Because she's doing this, and what kind of example is that being set for me? Mm-hmm. And, I turned 18 and I was out of there. But the thing of it is they're not digging deep enough into these people. It just seems like, they're just taking anybody. And my foster father worked for Boeing. I mean, they both had really good educations, and everything else, but they were messing around with other people. So,
and you know what?
And as
social services wouldn't even care about something like that because it's not something it's just a moral thing. It's not anything that they feel will damage a child. It's not a drug abuse or physical abuse of any kind against a child. It's not against the child. So they don't take those kinds of things into consideration.
Well, they didn't find out. This didn't come out into the surface until after I left. They found out that they were doing this. And
did they care?
Oh yeah, they cared. They fired them.
Oh, good.
But it's like, are you serious? After the fact, and that's great. But see, the point of me being there was to have healing. So I had no. It was unstable to begin with. So,
and maybe that's one of the solutions to this problem, is maybe they should take what the children say into account instead of ignoring a child.
Most
You know?
definitely.
It might have been
Like
just
my
that she was the
grandson.
first one giving evidence. It was the first peg. Because you need more than one peg to convict someone, you know?
Yeah, but Dorothy, it doesn't make it right.
No, and it's like that little boy that told the social worker that his dad was beating him. But they didn't do anything. You know, so, yes, by all means, they should be listening to these kids.
They have to have evidence. Just like they have to have evidence to take the kids away from their biological parents, they have to have evidence of misdeeds for the foster parents. And if you're plus when you're dealing with children, these children in foster care are traumatized and emotionally damaged. So
I get
but you're going to view you're going to view what they say through that lens.
This is a life thing with me, though, Dorothy. Every time I tell somebody something, they don't listen, and then they find out about it. Well, so they went through how many foster kids until the agency realized what they were doing. So how many kids ran through there, and I know how many kids ran through there until this all came out in the wash. So this I'm taking with me my whole life. I remember this. But yet I don't as a child in that situation know that it was wrong, number one. You know, they knew that I was Christian, but yet they tried to talk me into doing out-of-body experiences, which is bull. And, you know, I mean, I was smart enough, at least at that age, to know not to dive into it. But still, it's the fact that, you know, these people they really need, whether the child is traumatized or not, if they see something wrong, they really need to listen.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, at least check it out. At least listen to them and check it out. And that means to go further than just to question the person that is supposed to be the offender of whatever.
That's what North Carolina did with Lindsay and her father, is they just asked her in the house if, you know, what was going on. And, of course, you know, that was just, to me, it was just plain stupid. I mean, you're talking about a 12-year-old child, and the 12-year-old child is going to cover, and they're going to feel intimidated in that household. You know, I felt intimidated, and I just said it because I did not want to be in that situation. And nobody is me, and I'm not everybody else. But the fact is that just they should not take it and blow it off. No, they should not, and that's how I felt with the North Carolina people. And even after a bunch more things, and they had doctors saying that she needed to be out of that situation, they still put her back in that situation. So,
really?
And then the doctors told me, this is North Carolina. Doctors told me he is really in a bad situation. You have to do something about it.
Yes.
I could not do anything about it. I had no power. They even after I left, they came back and asked me, Did this person ever touch you or anything? And it's like, no. They were just screwing around on other people or with other people. Their marriage was not good. And I told them it wasn't good, but they didn't listen. But they let how many kids go through there and then eventually find out.
Right. And like this the little boy that I was talking about, how many other people was this woman a social worker for, and what kinds of things were going on in the family? So, I don't know.
So I think they're screening. They need a little bit. They need to spend just a little bit more money and screen these people a little bit further and talk to everybody. I mean, when I got my Air Force clearance, they knew what kind of toilet paper I used on a daily basis.
that's how something like that should be. So get more screenings, spend the extra money, find it wherever, and screen these people.
I think they screen the house more than they screen the people.
They screen the people, though, as far as criminal backgrounds and as far as drug abuse. You know, they make you take a drug test before they'll let you have a child, and then they come. Yeah, they come and look at. They come and look at your home, and yes, right down to the temperature of the water that came out of my bathroom faucet, they were checking. You know, what kind of medications? Like I told you, I needed to have the charcoal in my medicine chest, things like that, in case of poisoning. But they probably did. Actually, now that I think about it, they probably did check my home out more than they did my husband and I. They only said that we weren't using drugs and that we weren't criminals.
Well, that's a shame. Because how do you get that off looking at someone's house?
The FBI used to be really good at doing checks. I had to have a classified clearance to work at the electric boat, and they did. They checked your neighbors, and you had to take psych tests.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
They do need to get better at that.
That would be another really good way.
So how can we, as civilians, do anything about this?
We keep talking about it because somebody will end up listening to the show.
But, yeah, even to work in the nuclear industry, because my first husband was in the nuclear industry after he got out of the Navy. They were constantly, I'm trying to remember the name of the test, MPR or something.
Yeah.
They were constantly
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
And these are tests that you can't cheat on. They're specifically designed to, to ferret out people with problems. Although, some people do slip through, but not very many.
Well, I just think that it should be prayed, like Ronnie said. I mean, we should continue to pray about it because, that's where war, that's where you battle. But just keep talking about it and, just trying to educate people and as much as we can. I mean, we're as much as of a little voice we think we are, I don't think we're that little. I mean, somebody's going to run into this show and they're going to be going through a circumstance and, they're going to say, well, hey.
Yeah, I got a good idea from listening. Yeah, I agree with you. But we should always report child abuse. I'm not saying that.
Oh,
I don't want to give that impression at all because you have to take a child out of a bad situation.
Yeah, it may not be the best thing, but it's the only thing we've got right now. So we've got to work with what we've got.
Most definitely. They're still breathing. They're still alive. That's why I kind of, I was still breathing. I mean, I wasn't any better after I was with my dad going with my mom, but I was better off.
I have to say,
so it
seems to be like the norm is a dysfunctional family anymore.
Well, I just don't think that I think that there was always a dysfunctional family. It's just that people never put it out in the open.
When you said that. Yeah, when you said that, I was thinking, well, there's a lot of messed up people today. Just living today is, I don't know. So I guess then it might, we can get into a whole big discussion on that too. But, yeah, unless there's some markers that say you should not let this person have a child. You can.
I think the bottom line is education.
Yeah, most definitely.
What the education has changed an awful lot, and again it goes back to politics. what politics say that they've got to do. They give the axe out, and this is what they've got to do, the education department. And education is not what it used to be. And there's no two ways about it. They're throwing God out, and of course you just end up with chaos. You know, you're not allowed to speak of him. You're not allowed to share with people, to give them hope. You're silenced. So people have gone all over the place. And education itself, I mean, you've got sexual education going to children at a very young age when they're not even allowed to be children anymore. You've got them confused now with all this gender nonsense. And I call it nonsense, and I'll call it publicly nonsense. Because it's bringing more confusion to children, and it's causing far more damage, but they don't care, because that's the kind of world we're now living in, and what our grandchildren and great-grandchildren are inheriting, and it's disgusting.
Yes.
They're not allowed to be children. They're not allowed to be taught. It was a family and community thing that brings children up. It wasn't. You weren't just part of a family. You were part of a community. And I mean, I come from a small community, a village. And if I did anything wrong outside, it wasn't just my parents that I got chastised from, but you got chastised from your community as well. I know your dad. I'll tell you your dad, or your family, and even the local Bobby on beat. You know, if he knew you, come on, I'm taking you to your dad, and you'd get a clout from your dad for Bobby bringing you home, as well as a clout for what you'd done wrong. You knew not to do it again. It's not allowed this day. It's the communities are being split up. The education's changing, so the kids I'll say it straight, the kids are being brainwashed.
Yes.
Can't even speak to half of them now.
And the parents.
They're just, and it seems the higher up in education go, the more brainwashed they are. They don't know right from wrong. They don't recognise right from wrong. And the brigade, that make me want to vomit, because it's all let the child have expression. A child heart is wicked, no matter what you say. A child will do what a child will do, and it learns from a baby how to manipulate its parents. It knows if it cries enough, it will get attention. You might go to a baby and you made sure that it's got a clean nappy on, a diaper. You made sure it's fed, it's got no wind, and it's got no pain. It's healthy. But that child knows how to manipulate, because it's in the heart of the child. And I mean, the scriptures tell you that, and you know yourself when you've had your own children. You know when a child plays up from a very young age to get what it wants, and you have to be determined to know you can't have your own way. And as young as they are, they'll learn. But how can they learn if the boundaries have been removed?
Most definitely.
And if the boundaries are removed, so they can do what they jolly well want, then you're going to get cases like this where they're having children willy-nilly without a thought. Some of them, and I know that there's a lot of them, girls get pregnant because it means the brains have to work and they get money for doing it. And they can't be bothered with looking after children. A lot of them cannot be bothered. Some of them get pregnant because they didn't know how they got pregnant. They didn't understand. They weren't emotionally and mentally old enough, mature enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You see, there's a lot of factors to it. So it boils down to splitting up a family, splitting up a community that was part and parcel of a pattern given by God for raising children and raising the next generation. And the destruction started from there, where they were splitting up.
Well, they took people from their porch to their television to their tablets. That's why I call it the Babylonian box.
Yeah.
So
wait, what do you call it? The Babylonian?
I call it the Babylonian box. So,
the TV? Oh, that's so good.
Yes.
I love it. Okay.
So they took people from hanging out on their porches, to seeing everything that all the kids do. Because I'll tell you what, if I didn't get it worse from the neighbor, I don't know. But they took them from the porch into the house, and now their face is constantly down in something, texting, doing stuff on Facebook.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they're not looking up. They're not seeing anything. And it causes them to be zombies, and they just don't care. They get desensitized.
Yeah.
And where are these kids are left to sit in front of a screen? I don't think so. Whenever Connor's in the car with me, I always tell him, you put that thing away, you look at it later, because you're with me. I want you to keep your face up and look around you. You got to care enough.
What everybody calls the electronic babysitter. They don't know how to play. They don't know how to get together.
No, I'm so thankful they didn't have these when I was a child, because I went outside and I rode my bike and I played in the street and I would play till the street lights came on. And then it was time to come in.
And you skinned your knees, didn't you?
Yeah, skinned my knees.
Yeah. Well, see, now they put these rubber things in the playgrounds. These kids, you know what I mean? It's like they sissified them.
Yeah, I agree. I used to always ride a skateboard. I bought my grandkids a skateboard to have at my house when they come over. And I told my daughter, she came over here on July the 4th, and I told my daughter, I bought a couple of skateboards out there. Why don't you go out there in the garage and get them so the kids can ride them? I live on a really long, long driveway. There's no worries about a car coming and hitting them. And she said, well, did you buy elbow pads and helmets and knee pads? I said, no. And she said, well, they have to have those. What if they fall and they break? I said, Amber, I rode a skateboard from the time I was 9 years old till who knows how old I was. And I never got hurt badly. It's just a straight driveway. It's not a hill. She wouldn't let them go on it. So I guess maybe I'm out of touch, but I didn't think
that's
could
how
really
the enemy
go
wants
fast
everybody.
enough.
The enemy wants everybody desensitized so that this whole thing can just take over, and these kids don't have any clue as to what's happening because their parents don't know either. So, they're stuck, and their souls are lost now because they weren't educated.
Yeah.
And I think when we were younger and the neighborhood watched everybody else's kids, it seems like to me that we all had the same values at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was right
was talking about. If a neighbor saw me doing something wrong, they would say something to me. Get out of the street, or whatever it was. Get out of the street. And I would. Nowadays, I don't think people are like that anymore. I don't have young children anymore, but I don't see that going around with the kids in my neighborhood. So most of the time I don't really see kids out there anyway, because they're probably in the house watching TV or
playing on their phone.
Case
in point, I was up at the playground. I think I used to leave my house from 8 o'clock in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon. I would never come home.
I know. I would drink out of the hose because I was scared if I went in the house, my mom would tell me to stay in. So I would just drink out of the hose back then. Yeah.
So now looking back, and I was thinking when the families were started to be torn apart, and it was the war.
Yeah.
And where
the
men
Vietnam
went
War? Oh, the
First
war.
and war. Because, here in Britain, the men went off and the women had to go out to work to do the jobs that the men did. And in places like London and Coventry, the heavily bombed places, the kids were evacuated. into the country, into Wales and places like that. And that began where the mother then was out of the home, because what men came back went, millions of them didn't. Let's face it. So the woman became the breadwinner.
Yeah.
And when those whose men came back, they didn't sort of suddenly give up the jobs, because they found a new freedom of working outside the home and making a new life. And of course, you'd have those that were really badly damaged. I've just watched one about a guy, 93. He's just had his garden done up, and he was in Burma working on that train, that railway, like Bridge over the River Kwai type of thing, And he was one of the survivors, and he wasn't the same when he came back. And there were many more men that came back, like from First World War, from Somme, and from Second World War, because we've got a lot of that up on Facebook at the moment, where everybody's remembering the fallen, and where the men came back from the Second World War and the damage. And we've got now vets, and I know you've got them in America as well, but we've got vets here who are suffering from PTSD, and some of them are out on the streets.
A lot of them are out on the streets.
The marriages are breaking because they don't know how to help them to deal with PTSD. And so that's another way. And we know that all wars are started politically, and they're there for political and financial reasons. We know that. They always say
usually oil.
When men start wars, and women will slug it out between them, Once they sit down, we'll talk this, we'll get this sorted out. But it's just another way of destroying communities and destroying family life. It's not just
everyone
a
that
simple
knows
thing that everybody thinks.
Well, I always blame everything on the Vietnam War era over here in America, because it seems like that's when the breakdown of families really kind of started. They had communes. There was the New Age started at like communal atmospheres and rather than traditional families. And we don't have communes any longer. I know that, but it just kind of melded into living with people before you got married, and the traditional marriage just kind of went to the, do you know that there's more people living together than are married in the United States today? So but I always trace it all the way back to the 60s. I think the 60s was very damaging to families. I think it was, through the women's movement, which was really about abortions, but taking the women out of the home, the feminist movement, and the sexual revolution started then, which is another,
Yeah. It's all part of the overall plan, anyway, though, to disrupt families and to destroy families.
Yes.
People don't realise what families are. My brother asked me when his marriage was splitting up, why did it hurt so much? And I said, because God said that when a man and a woman get married, they become as one. So when you split up, it's like you're being torn in two, because you become one. And that's why it's so painful. You're ripped apart. I mean, I asked the Lord that when my marriage went down, and that's what He explained to me. Because you become one. We can't become one when totally one when you're living together, because that commitment isn't there.
The commitment, and that commitment, it is made to each other, but I think you're making a commitment to God too, above all.
Yeah.
So, Yes, and that's not
The
there.
more
It's not
secure
there.
when
There's
they're
no
living
commitment
together
to
than when
God.
they are married.
You broke up when you said that. I didn't catch it.
I think they're more insecure when they're living together than when they are married.
You would think.
They're not secure.
You would think so.
40%
of all the kids born over here are out of wedlock.
Yeah.
40% of children in the U.S. are born out of wedlock. That's a very high number.
Yeah.
So they can't make a commitment to each other, and then we wonder why they can't make a commitment to kids.
Yeah.
When they have them.
Yeah, exactly.
It has a domino effect.
Yeah.
And then when the kids grow up, they say, why should we bother? Don't mean no. And I think that attitude comes from kids whose parents who were married split up. There's so much that's coming against the family. I mean, infidelity and temptations and, loose living, you name it. I mean, there's not just that. Then you've got the drinks and the drugs, and you've got gambling, and it's all there.
Yes.
It's all an attack on the family. And it's all an attack against God and what He created.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, today you're seeing it even more. It's even more obvious today.
Yeah. Yeah, because, even in the last 20 years, you can see how it's gotten progressively worse and worse and worse. Until, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
In the future.
Well, I mean, they're bringing laws out against
imagine.
families now, aren't they? Let's face it, they're bringing laws out against families. By changing what a family is. I mean, they came out at one bit what a nuclear family was.
Yes,
and that was a couple and 2 children, and now they're changing what a family is. It's mind control. It's brainwashing. We don't tolerate what you say. That you will think this way.
Yeah, that is what they tell us. Because if you say anything against it, we'll put you in jail. There's laws that now we can lock you up. Yeah.
The thing is, there are more people.
It's a hate crime.
That way, think as we think. They're just silent.
Well, I do believe that the churches could stand up and take a greater role instead of, I guess that's another show too. But I don't hear anybody crying out for the nuclear family any longer, for a man and a woman and their children. I think, I don't know,
that's
because they're afraid to talk.
That's politically incorrect,
That's that they're afraid to talk because they'll get in trouble.
That's probably true.
Yeah,
they'll get in trouble.
Well,
yes,
you have to have that attitude, that Ra's attitude, that you don't care what people think. I was just kidding when I said that. I was trying to make you laugh.
Placing God's laws above. I think I should be placing God's laws above man's laws. I really do. I don't mind sitting here and saying this. And what are they going to do? Come arrest me? Whatever, because it's my truth. If there's supposed to be freedom of speech, I have the freedom to say what I believe. That's how I look at it. I know they say we have freedom of speech, but they don't. We don't.
You'll hurt somebody's feelings, though.
Yes, well, I've had
we've got news for them. We're offended.
Before, and I got over it. I've had my toes stepped on, and that's okay. I lived, so I'm sure other people can too. And it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. They don't have to listen to me. They can have their own opinion. But as regards to the family, if we don't do something soon, there's not going to be family any longer.
No.
There's just not. There's just not. I don't know what my grandkids will do. But I blame it all on the 60s and on the feminist movement and the sexual revolution, and the decreased role of religion in our families. Mm-hmm. I blame it on Satan.
I'm sure we must have some authors out there that can put it in a better way that we can.
People just have to stop being afraid to talk. Just let it out. I mean,
yeah, let it out.
John the Baptist, that he just, from what I've read, he just came out and said what he had to say, and he told people what was going to go down, and they didn't listen.
Yeah. Amen.
So
that's right.
You gotta not be afraid to talk, and people are afraid to talk.
As Christians, that's what we need to do: is not be afraid to stand up and speak our faith, and because we know it's the truth, it came from God. These are, this is what God has remade me into. He's changed my thinking. He's changed. This isn't what I was when I was younger. When I was younger, I thought that I would have told you that living together was fine when I was 17, 18. I would have told you it was fine. I've since learned to repent of that. And no, it's just opening up a whole bag of sorrows for especially the women. I think. I know men get hurt too, but the women end up with the kids. And
I think that if people were able to see what happens spiritually, they probably wouldn't do the things that they do.
Yeah, if they could see into the spiritual realm, and
there's a reaction together
with. Yes. I agree with you.
I think as well. It's all right. You've got, they've got their opinion, we've got ours. But in the end, it's no good them moaning about what's happening and things that are not working out when they won't listen to what the problem is and how to resolve it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't complain about being badly treated if you're not doing the right thing in the first place. Mm-hmm. You can't complain about things going wrong if you're going down the wrong path in the first place.
Yes, that's true.
And all we can do
is
be that voice and be that light, be that salt. And whether they accept it or not,
showing love
no
to
good
them.
complaining. Yes. Pardon?
And that is showing Christian love to them. We're supposed to love our neighbors. It's by telling the truth and sharing.
Yeah.
Sharing.
You will
the
always
gospel
come
of Christ.
against opposition when you do. Always.
You do. Yeah. Which brings us to the scripture that Dorothy was talking about earlier, or I guess it was on an email, that Jesus came to divide.
Bring us up. Mm.
Let's see, where is that? Let me look this up really fast. I'm sorry, I'm not good with scriptures. It takes me a minute sometimes. Dorothy, you wrote it. What's the scripture?
Did he say that in Matthew? Was it Matthew he said that in?
It was in Matthew, yeah. Matthew.
Beatitudes 5, 6, or 7.
I think it's Matthew 10, I think. Matthew 10. I got you sorted up. Let me go down.
I don't come here for peace.
Okay. For I am come, this is Matthew 10:35. It says, for I have come to set a man at variance against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
And a man's foes shall be those of his own household. Yeah. So I just think it's speaking about the division that comes, even among family members, over our belief, or lack of belief, I guess you would say, in Christ.
Well, I think that's why God cares so much about families, when you think about it, because it says he'll take one from a family. And if you look back through history, that's what he's done. He's chosen one in a family to be a spokesperson to reach the rest of the family. Now, why would he bother doing it? I'd say this to the audience. Why would he do this if he didn't care to reach that family by picking one person up who's open to him in order to reach the rest of the family? I was once going to a meetings where it led me to. I mean, I didn't stay with them. Over here, they were known as the Jesus Army. And I can't remember how I ended up going there. But it was one of these routes that the Lord took me down. And while I was at one of the meetings, because I was one of the ones that were so outspoken, they suddenly didn't have room for me on the bus, But at one of the meetings afterwards, I shared with some of them, I said, Lord, just show me something. I'd like to share it with you. And he showed me how one candle can turn back the darkness. And when one candle joins with another, you end up with a candle arm to turn back more darkness. For all it takes is one candle. And that's what we are with that one candle in that one family. Family by family by family. Or even by communities. But when you've got the established churches that have been infiltrated by the enemy, and people are turning away from the church because of what they say they're doing, you see, and a lot of them, it's apostasy really with church, as what they're coming out with now. And I'm talking about the establishment. I'm not talking about the body of believers. I'm talking about the establishment that everybody normally understands as the church. And so people are saying, well, I don't want to know any of that. Because they're hypocrites. Because of the things that they're coming out with. I hear that every week.
I do too.
It's like a fan or a clock.
It sounds like someone's tenderizing their meat or something for dinner. I don't know. Do you hear that, Dorothy?
I hear that.
I know. I just turned my air on. Is that what you're hearing, maybe?
It's like a ticking noise.
Is it a fan? Oh, it stopped.
Oh. I don't hear a ticking noise. No.
Well, it stopped now.
I heard it a couple weeks ago too. Yeah, it stopped now. Anyway.
There it is. Pretend it's a clock.
Did you say it's a clock?
It does make you think. You can't take everything at face value. And you can see how the damage has come in here, there, and everywhere. And bit by bit, it's chomped away at relationships, chomped away at families, chomped away at communities. And when it gets to communities,
that's what it does.
It chomps away at a nation.
Yes. Because if you break down the family, it's going to break down the community. It's going to break down the nation. It's going to
exactly
snowball. Just snowball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I got asked once, many years ago. I was sharing things, witnessing basically, and talking about, demons and all that, and the work, how demons manifest. And they said, you don't believe in that rubbish, do you? And I said, well, you see it every day, and you can see what they do. And, I mean, they didn't walk away. They just said, well, how can you do it? I says, well, you've got to understand what their characters are like. And when you understand what their characters are like, you can see it happening all around you. You know, you can't see what the wind is, but you can see its effects. Yeah. And it's the same with demonic activity in an area. I mean, this particular area, I found out some history that there were a coven of witches used to meet at a golf course, not far, not about 2 or 3 miles from here, on a hill, and they'd meet at midnight on this hill, and people had seen them, and they were able to disappear. And I found out some things for this area as well, so I started praying for it. And, just taking it all before the Lord. I mean, I don't know about all this sort of stuff, and I just went to him because I'm not complicated. I call a spade. I don't mess about and try and find long words to express something. And I just said, Lord, this is going on. What can we do about it? How can we sort this out? Can you send us some help? And I found out that he works in an area when we call him into that area, when we pray to him, we ask him to step in. Because he's a righteous God, he will not come uninvited. But when we invite him into a situation or into an area, that's when we'll see things changed. We lived at one house. I think kids were about teenagers. Stephen was still youngest. He was still at senior school. That's when he had his back damaged. And we'd got to this house, and I know the Lord had sent us here. He provided it. And things started happening there where there were break-ins every night. There were riots every weekend. There were druggies, and there were glue sniffers, and I said, oh Lord, move us away from here, please, move us away from here. And he said, no, stand and watch and see what I can do. And I'm not joking, that following weekend there used to be a lot of pubs, and 3 of them got closed down that weekend. That stopped the rioting. Drugs were being sold in one pub. The glue sniffers that were down the lane that used to lead to the pit further up the road, they got moved on. The break-in stopped because that person got found and arrested. And one particular night, there were a row. We were like in terraced housing, and I was in attic bedroom where I looked out from my roof down onto backs. And these 2 families were having a real bad argument. So I started praying in tongues over it, and within 10 minutes, it went silent, and everybody went to bed.
Oh, hallelujah. Praise God. I love when I see the Lord work just like that so quickly. I love that.
It's easier to pour your heart out to him and tell him and ask him to intervene and send angels to intervene. And it's a lot faster. Because I found that when I'm praying about a certain thing, he will give me pictures or he'll give me scriptures. And as he's giving me pictures and he's giving me scriptures, I pray them out. And one of them was when Paul's boys disappeared, when his ex-partner, because they were living together, she disappeared with a boy when they were little. And he was staying with me, and it was heartbroken because we didn't know where they'd gone. She changed her names and disappeared with them. So I says, right, we're going to the Lord about this.
Good grief.
We asked the Lord. He's gone through it. We knew what to do this time round. So I went to the Lord, prayed and asked the Lord. And the picture and the scripture he gave me was King David when he'd been out with his army, and they'd come back, and the camp had been ransacked, and all the wives of the children had disappeared. And all the men turned against David. If we hadn't been following you, our wives and our children would have been safe. It's all your fault. And David just turned to the Lord because he was just as shattered about his own wife and children. And he said, shall we chase them? And he said, yes, but where do we go? Well, the raiding party had left behind someone who I can't remember if they were injured or ill, And they found him, and he says, if you look after me, I'll show you where they've gone. So David says, right, bring him, we'll look after him, you show us where we are. Because the Lord said, yes, go on, and you'll recover all. And which they did do. So anyway, we prayed that, and I said, right, Paul, I says, the Lord, give me this, and he says, we'll recover all, we've just got to follow what he does. A couple of days later, we got, he were on the sick at the time. They were getting welfare money for being sick. And he didn't get no money. So he rung up to find out why he hadn't got his money. And they said, well, you've moved. And he says, I haven't moved. And he said, yes, you have. We've got a letter here. What address you got? And they gave him address. And he says, well, that's wrong. He says, it's this address. And who signed it? He says, well, you signed it. He says, I ain't signed no because I haven't moved. And when we found out the address, he says, hang on a minute, she were on about going to move here. So he went up to that address, and it was the very address where she moved to, and it was the boys, and she tried getting his sick money to her. So we got her. And so we went to see a solicitor, and it took 2 years fighting, but because she told them that we were dead. So by the time he got to see the boys, they were traumatised to find out the dad weren't dead and the nan weren't dead. They were alive. I mean, they're in the teens now, them boys. And they're away from the dad now. You know. But you see, that's what prayer does. It's powerful. Yes. It's powerful because you're not just...
Very powerful, yes. Amen.
Somebody who don't care. You're talking to somebody who loves families, who created families, and who's willing to step into communities and families, who's willing to do something. And into the scripture, one could put 10,000 to flight. All it takes is one person to put 10,000 to flight.
That's right. That's right.
So don't ever think that your prayers fall on deaf ears when it comes to calling out to God. It doesn't. I prayed all my life, and I've seen answers to prayer all my life. I mean, I prayed for my ex when we were still married and we were in the army. Where were we now? We were at Warminster. They used to go on to Salisbury Plain for manoeuvres. They'd go for about 6 weeks at a time. I mean, we were at bottom of the hill, really, as the tanks went up. We were at the bottom, you could hear them. And in fact, our apartments used to shake, as tanks went past. And this particular time, I'd prayed for my husband that, he'd come back safe, because no matter how, even though the manoeuvres, they could still get killed on manoeuvres, especially when they're doing live firing. Anyway, he came back, and I'd seen this picture, something to do with washdown, where they washed out tanks just before they come off Salisbury Plain. And I didn't understand, so I just prayed. And I found out that he was first to come off, because he used to race to get off first and get back home. And he was the first down to washdown. 5 minutes before he got to that, they found an unexploded bomb been planted, and it would have hit his tank. 5 minutes before.
Oh.
Another time, I knew he was out all week, and I got this vision, and I in this vision, I got this knock on door at apartment. We call them flats. I got a knock on flat door. And I opened the door, and he stood there. In this vision, he stood there in his combat, and you couldn't see the green, there was just brown mud. And he wore round metal glasses, which we used to call his gas bag glasses, because when they put the gas masks on, these glasses fitted in, these spectacles fitted in. And all he could see was this sort of brown bit where his eyes poked through, where he just wiped his glasses, and this white bandage on his head. And I looked, And I said, you better come in before you're set, and, you know, I've got to chip you out of your uniform. And the vision went. And I said, Lord, that's a funny thing to see. So I prayed for his safety. And all week I kept thinking about it. On the Thursday, I knocked at the door, and there he stood, caked in mud, with his gas bag glasses, rubbed, where you could just see his eyes, and this white bandage around his head. Two of the tanks, one had gone in reverse and one had gone forward, 40 miles an hour, crashed into one another. And he was one of the drivers. And there was that much dust around, I couldn't see, and he was one of the drivers. And as they crashed, his head banged back onto a bolt, where his head popped through a turret. A bolt went into the back of his head.
A what is? A what?
A bolt. You know, one of the bolts.
Okay. A bolt. Okay.
It went into the back of his head. One of the guys up on top lifted gun turret, otherwise it would have cut one of the other guys straight in two. And the other one had got thrown off a tank. He'd been having back problems, and his back, it put him back 3 months with treatment on his back. There were no deaths. Thank God for that. There were no deaths.
Yes.
But I'll never forget that, praying for his safety. And I saw it. Time and time again. Another time, the Lord said, I want you to pray now for your husband. I went straight into, I always used to laugh about the closet. You know, I'd close the door, and go into your closet and pray, and the Lord who sees in secret will reward thee openly. Well, we used to call the toilet the closet, and I always used to go and fasten myself in there so I could pray. Now I've been sat reading my Bible, and then I went in there, and I said, Lord, I know it was 9 o'clock. I remember that vividly. And it was around the time when our marriage were actually splitting up, but he told me to go and pray for him urgently. So I went in there and I prayed for him. And I just prayed for his safety. It was 9 o'clock. And I got a picture of my brother-in-law as well, our Karen's first husband. Said, pray for him. So I prayed for him as well. I didn't know why. I just did it. I just followed what he told me to do. My husband come back that night, and he says, you'll never guess what. He says, I'll go down City Road, which is a very steep road, into Sheffield Centre. He said, and then I'm coming towards traffic lights. It had been snowing. Suddenly I had no brakes, and the lights turned red, and I knew I weren't going to be able to stop. And he says, I said, what time was it? He says, oh, funny enough, I looked at the clock. He says, it was 9 o'clock. I says, oh, worry. He says, well, all of a sudden, just as I got to lights, going down sideways, just as I got to lights, my wheels found traction and I was able to shove off onto one side. I says, all right. I says, well, at 9 o'clock, the Holy Spirit told me to go in there and pray for you. He went grey. It went ashen grey when I told him.
Yeah.
And the next day, I got my sister came, with her husband, and she says, I wanted to come, but he decided, no, I weren't allowed to come, and then all of a sudden he changed his mind and let me come over, and so we've come over to see you. And I were able to witness to him as well.
Oh.
Prayer is powerful, and I think, when we're coming up to situations with families, you've got to pray. And sometimes
you've got to pray.
The answers are not always what you want. I mean, we might think that, well, prayer would have saved my marriage. Well, prayer was the guidance for which I got to go by. Yeah, I got to go by that. And what I was told.
My daughter was just talking to me about the power of prayer today. She was telling me because she has a son, a 16-year-old son, and he doesn't do anything. Well, he's been getting into a little bit of trouble. And she was just at her wit's end. He wanted to play video games, and we all know how bad video games are, among other things he was into. So she said she started praying, and she called me today, and she said, Mom, I've just been praying that God brings my whole family closer to him. And she said the change in David over the past couple of weeks has just been phenomenal. He came up to me and he told me, Mom, do you know what? She said, what? He said, do you know you go through withdrawal if you quit playing video games? And look, I looked it up on the internet, and look what it says. And she said he wants to go to church. He's rejoined his youth group. He just did a complete turnaround. I said, well, he repented. That's what he did. He repented. Praise God. And the prayer did help. Yes, because God answers prayers. Especially those that we're praying for others. Yes.
Yeah. See, it's one in a family can make a whole difference.
A whole different in the whole dynamic of the family. That's so correct. Mm-hmm. And I love hearing those stories. I do. I love hearing stories of people's answered prayers like that.
Well, I think as well. I mean, when we've been discussing, you know, with the social that should be something that a lot of intercessors that may be listening in that could put at top of the list for these children. Mm-hmm. You know, because children are a gift. And I've always believed that. And I thank God for each one when they were born and asked his blessing on each one. And I claimed them for him on each one as they were born. You know, they were minutes old when I held them. And I said, Lord, I thank you for the gift of this child. And I ask your blessing on this child. And I ask you to put your hand on this child. And I claim them for you. In fact, every baby I've looked after, I've done that with. I've claimed them all.
I love babies. You know what, Sarah? I was sitting here thinking, it wasn't just good for my grandson. It's good for her to be able to see the Lord work like that in their lives. Like, she was just so happy that it has to be. Well, I know it is for me too. When I see the Lord work, I'm just in awe. It's inspiring. It's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome. It's the word for it. Yeah.
I think it tickles him, you know, when we ask him. I always get this impression he's got a big smile on his face and saying, I've been waiting to do this. I want to show you what I can do.
Yes. I think he does. I think he sits and he smiles and he says, I've been waiting for you to ask me. Because she was at her end of the rope. She didn't know what else to do with her son. And then, bam.
Yeah.
Prayer.
One of the things he once said to me was, I'd gone to him with my burdens, and I mean, it were, I would say within 80s. And I'm there, you know, crying my eyes out and pouring my heart out to him. And he says, Pam, and he gave me this picture where I'd gone in with this huge bin line of a burden, and I'd brought it and I'd put it rather like a Santa with a black sack, and I'd put it in front of him, and I'd poured my heart out, and here's my burdens, Lord, and I need, I can see it now, I need your help. And he said, yes, I'll help you. Just leave it with me. And I picked the sack up on the way out to get off now and picked it up and gone back home with it. And he's called me back in and he says, what are you doing? I said, well, you said you'll do it now. I said, well, why don't you leave them here then? Why do you keep taking them back with you?
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
I've done that, though.
We do that. Yeah, we walk in with a bird and we carry it back out. Yeah.
I'll pray and I'll leave it there with God, and then I come in to pick it back up.
Yeah. Well, Paul's
I picked it back up. I need to leave it back in again.
Yeah, Paul's learned a lot these last few weeks, an awful lot.
Oh, amen. That's good.
And I was telling him,
in his life.
Yeah. Well, he was getting all the thoughts coming across his mind, you know, especially after she'd been snatched. And all the thoughts for the idiot were on the phone every night, and I'm saying, Paul, did you give it to the Lord? Yeah. Are we praying about it? Yeah. Were you going to believe what's coming into your mind, or the Lord? The Lord. I says, well, what do you say when you believe he's taking over? Thank you. I says, right. You've got to bring all those thoughts captive and not have them.
Yes.
You've got, praise the Lord. If you've got a problem, you go see the Lord. Don't come and bother me about it. And then next day, to come back again, ma'am, do what I've told you. It's stretching you. It's exercising your faith. I said, and sometimes the longer it takes, it means that you're being strengthened in your faith. Call it promotion if you want, but you just got to lift them weights up and use them. And he says, I do, Mum. He says, but and then it comes to going to court, and he says, oh, Mum. And I says, I don't know what you're worried about. It's already been sorted. It's already been prayed over. So you don't go.
Oh.
And then he got told, just sit back and watch the fireworks. And he did.
Yeah.
And by that night, she was back. I mean, there's nothing up to do, obviously.
Praise God.
There's still things that's got to come to pass. But I said, look, everything I'd prayed for Paul, I says, and I know that the ladies have been praying, I says, we've got the answers. I says, so, we're seeing what God can do. I says, and he's not finished yet. I said, because I said, Lord, you've told us we've got to remit their sins. We can't hold their sins against them. We must remit them. If you don't remit them, you're hanging on to them and he can't work. But once you remit them, you set them free for God to work on them. And we prayed that we'll reach into that family and deliver them, because that's what we are meant to do.
That is what we're meant to do. I will be praying for them too.
Yeah. But I said, once he'll deal with it, but I said, he's merciful. You hold anything against him, you've got to remit him. And no matter how many times that anger might come or that hurt might come, you've got to remit it. You've got to let it go and give it back to God. Yeah. It frees him up to
my husband tells me that all the time. Not all the time, but my husband has to remind me that sometimes. He'll say, didn't you pray about that? And I'll say, yes. And he said, well, why did you pick it back up? It's already done. Give it back to God and ask for peace, because it's already done. Okay.
Sometimes you have to persist in prayer. There are certain things that you have to keep on praying about. Yeah. Like Jesus gave that scripture about the unjust judge, where the woman hounded him night and day. If he went to the toilet, she'd be outside waiting for him. If he went down the street, she'd be there waiting for him. He says, don't you think, man, that woman's persistence, I mean, it's my own paraphrase, obviously, but that woman persisted with that unjust judge. And in the end, he gave up and he said, give her what she wants. I'm not going to get no peace. He said, don't you think your Heavenly Father, I'll hear you and answer you. Persist in prayer until you know you've got that answer.
Yeah.
The things that you can't just say once and that's it. There are other things that you say, you've got answer.
You feel that in your spirit.
Get an answer. How much does it matter to you?
Yeah, he'll say, the Lord's already sent out all kinds of angels to come help you, and don't worry.
Have you fell asleep, Rose?
I didn't fall asleep. I'm just listening to you two.
Well, you were telling good stories, Pam.
What's that?
Uplifting. I said I like listening to her talk because she's uplifting.
Oh, Pam?
Pam is.
She's great.
She's great.
I mean, all these are, but she's, you know, we all have our different ways of doing things and talking, and you know, she's got a lot of experience behind her, and it's really, you know, when it's logical, you know, it's really easy to understand, you know, her when she talks, and you too. You know, you guys have a lot of, well, I'm probably the youngest out of all these, but yet I know I've experienced a lot in my life. You know, but I do like talking to her. I email her from work.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
I do during the day. I email her from work. I talk to her sometimes, but I mean, she definitely comes across well and makes a lot of sense, and you know,
I like her stories that she tells.
Yeah, most definitely. She's prayed a lot, and you know, and it's been kind of, I pray, but it's been really kind of hard to. I'm trying to get my brain back into that. I talk to Father all the time. That's just it. I talk to him all the time, but I don't. I guess, you know, the grief had gotten in the way for a very long time, because you're hurting, you know. But I'm really trying to get out of that and to pray and spend some time with him.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Prayer is talking to him, isn't it, Ross?
Talking to him is praying to him, though.
Prayer is talking to him, isn't it, Ross? That's what prayer is.
Yeah.
It's communicating with God.
Yeah, but I've got to be getting on his nerves by now.
Oh, no. I think I bet you.
No, he's smiling. Didn't you listen to Pam? He's smiling at you. He's saying, yeah, I should have given him a
I'm a brat.
Those of us who get the 4x4 and the frying pan usually are.
Yeah.
I just get this feeling like, oh, he's just putting his hand on his head going, oh, my gosh, this girl.
I get that feeling, too, with the Lord sometimes. Like, he's like, oh, no, what am I going to do with this one? Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I once asked how he saw me. I went a horse this time. And he said, what he showed me was, they were like a hedge, like a privet hedge, you know, a box one. And I was hiding behind that, and he was at the other side, and he's saying, come on, and I was hiding behind it, and I won't go round. I was too terrified to go round. And he said, that's where you are, you're riding. And he says, I see you there, and I know you're there, and I know you want to come, but I was too scared to go round the other side in case he didn't want to know me, wanted to see me. I think I've gone past that bit now.
Are you doing okay, Dorothy? Are you still here with us?
I'm still here so far.
Yay.
Are you keeping an eye on the time?
I am. It's 5:45. Is something wrong?
So,
did I not do something right?
No, you just have to keep an eye on the time.
Yet. Okay.
1:45 here.
What time is it there?
1:45.
1:45.
Are you keeping track
of
how much time we have left?
We have 15 minutes.
Okay.
So I think we've concluded that the answer to everything is prayer.
Yeah.
It's the Lord.
Head over head with a frying pan.
Yeah.
Prayer and being a light for your family and your community.
Yeah.
Are there any things we should specifically be praying for the situation with the children? As some people run out of words and they don't know what to pray for. So,
well, number one,
pray for discernment.
Would be the safety. Yeah. A lot of times, if you ask what God wants you to do, He lets you know. But
well, I'll tell you what, if He's letting me know, I mean, He really got to hit me over the head with something hard.
Yeah, sometimes He has to hit me on the head with something hard too, because I'm stubborn, and sometimes I just don't see what's in front of me. So I hate to say it like this, but I have to tell the Lord sometimes to just make it abundantly clear what I'm supposed to do, because I just don't know. But He will. He will. He just does. I don't know. I think that if you see a family in need, I guess.
Oh, most definitely. And don't think to yourself, this annoys me with people sometimes, well, I need a word from Father whether or not I should do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Yeah. If you see a family in need, you should just, you should go talk to them, but definitely put them in prayer first. If there's a child that's being hurt, you have to. Of course, you have to report it.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think that's why I got into law enforcement, because I wanted to help so many people, just help them. Because I was there once, Yeah. Well, I'm not there anymore. I'm too old now to be in that. But when I was younger, it was just, I gotta, but I was fighting myself with it. I went into it for the wrong reason. I thought all men were just losers and, treated women like trash and threw them away, and that's only because of what I saw growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case at all.
No. I used to think that too, though, for a long time. I think God healed that part of me. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm raising a man,
Huh?
I'm raising a man.
Yeah.
Train a child up in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Yeah. You sound like you have a good boy.
I think if anybody's anybody that's listening in, what they need to know is that God loves them, and He cares about them. There's not one person
very much
that He doesn't care about, and that He's not willing to help if they will ask Him.
Mm-hmm.
If they will ask Him, He will help. He'll step in, whether it's a child or whether it's an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And
all they have to do is ask Him. We've all experienced that because that's what we've done. And we've gone through various trials in our lives, whether it's been through foster system, whether it's been through damaged relationships as a child or as an adult. We've been through that, and we've found that when we've cried out to God, He's heard us and He's answered. And that's why He's called us together to do a program like this, to share different things that we've experienced so that they might find hope in the world we're living in today. And Jesus is coming back soon. It really is. It really is. And you want to reach out for Him now while you can.
Definitely.
Yes. Amen to that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's still time.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter where you live.
There's still time. No.
We can all be one, even though I'm over 3,000 miles away in my little corner, we can still be one in the spirit. We can still support one another. So don't ever think that you're cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever think God doesn't love you because
we're a
He
family.
died for you. Yes, that's what God created as a family. Yeah, because it matters to Him. It's part of who He is.
That's right.
Because you're my sisters in Christ.
Yeah.
So.
And wherever 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst.
Amen. Yeah, amen.
And we don't have to be physically together, but in the spirit.
Yes. Yes.
Bless the Lord.
Thank you for that. Yes.
You've got to have hope. You've got to have hope. If you don't have hope, I mean, there's too many. I'm reading about the kids that are killing themselves because of bullying in school. You know, why? Where does this bullying come from? This thoughtlessness, this looking down on others simply because they're different. Why does it matter?
No, I thought kids are always bullies. Aren't kids always bullies? I thought bullies in school all the time.
Today. It's terrible.
How are they different today?
It's like they've got to fit in. It's more, I don't know. I mean, I was always bullied at school. I mean, I used to get beaten. And then when I was 15, I just got fed up and I said, right, I've had enough. And the girl that had been picking on me, I made arrangements to see her in cloakroom. And when I shut the door, I just whacked her one. And while she was laid on the floor with me off wide open, I said, right, I've had enough now. Don't start on me no more. And I walked away. I'll never forget that.
Good for you. You stepped up for yourself.
The bullying today, I mean, I wouldn't say boot to a mouse. You know, I was terrible. And it's only since I've been on my own as a single parent that I've sort of got any backbone. And that Lord did that. He shoved some steel up my backbone. But today it's really, really cruel. It's so cruel where they pick on other kids today, and it's disgusting. And I mean, a lot of it is girls. A lot of it is girls, and it's disgusting, and they should be ashamed.
What a shame. What a shame that kids can't be kids.
Yeah.
Anymore.
But this is the pressure that they're under. This is the pressure. And I'll tell you what, TV mags and all this rubbish that they put out, a lot of that's that. It's the pressure that put them under. And I think, you know, if we've got anything for an intercessor to pray about, is the kids. You know, when they're getting onto them, I mean, on Facebook of all places, and things like that, Twitter and whatever, and these Snapchat things, where they're sending messages one to another and destroying lives.
Mm-hmm.
The tools of the devil, the tools of the enemy. And I'm not just talking about electronics, I'm talking about the people that are doing it.
Yeah.
This is how deep it goes.
Well, that's what you get for not. I'm not saying you, like you said, you shouldn't go and beat the daylights out of somebody, but you know, a good switch doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Good parenting might help some of that.
But if the parents if the parents' nose is in something else other than being concerned about their child, then you know, this is how I see my son. I am his first female relationship, so he's going to be somebody's father, somebody's grandfather, somebody's husband someday.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that he has. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I want to make sure he has some kind of, grows up with respect and understands. And I just, if people would just think, these are the first relationships that these children have is with their parents. And it's just, I don't know. It just means a lot to me. My son means a lot to me. So.
Yeah.
I hope so.
What's that?
That's good. I said I would hope so. That's good. That's good that you want to be a good parent. It's a very good thing. You don't have to, make an excuse. It's very good. More people should be like that. But people have problems. People do have problems.
Understood.
I mean, there's so many single mothers. Being a single mother's hard. You know that.
Right. It is very hard.
Come home from work and you're tired and you've got a son and he needs help with homework or he needs whatever. Parenting is a job. It's a job. It's a hard job. So.
Most definitely. But,
But you take it seriously. And not our parents.
I have to,
like
because then I got to go before God and answer.
Well,
you know what I mean?
90 seconds. So is there anything you guys want to say before we close?
I really enjoyed the show with you ladies tonight.
I really enjoyed tonight, too, more than I think ever. I think I really enjoyed this. I love your story, Sam.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do too.
So inspirational.
Well, the testimonies of what God can do.
Yes, testimonies, what God can do. Yep. Love it.
And to keep trying, Just keep trying.
But with God, nothing is impossible.
Exactly.
Dorothy?
You have anything to say, Dorothy?
These folks have covered it all.
I hate to ask you this. I see the intro, but I don't see the outro.
There's no outro for us.
Oh, there isn't. Okay.
All right.
No, David has an outro, but we don't have one.
Okay. Well, tonight, you guys, I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this with you.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
Say good night then to everybody. Oh, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah.
2 a.m.
All righty, bye-bye.
God bless.
God bless. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, John Boy.
Yeah.
Good night, John Boy.
Hit the end episode button, Ronnie.
I just love Pam.
Do what? So do I just click end episode?
Yes, you do.
Right now? Right now. Goodbye, everyone.
Right.
God bless you.